Hi, so this is the second project to go back to your favorite book web page and restyle it with CSS. And this one here is the finished item. So my favorite book was the 1984 novel by George Orwell, and I've restyled this, and you can probably see that it looks quite drab, and the reason I've done that is because I wanted to reflect the book itself. So I've introduced a logo for a fictitious site called Fave Books. I've introduced now a menu item. The menu buttons don't go anywhere. It's just that the CSS is applied to these particular unordered list items. And I've used a grid layout, the CSS grid layout. So you can see here we've got a separate grid item here, which is the menu bar in the header. A second item here in the grid layout for content. A third item there, which is for links to, well, in this case, the IMDb review of the film. And I've got another grid item here, which is the footer, which links you back to the Wikipedia page about George Orwell. So if I have a look at the actual source code for this, you can see here, this is the style sheet. First of all, if we take a look at the HTML, so standard HTML boilerplate at the beginning, but now you can see that we've got, for instance, the introduction of this grid class, which is the actual layout of the page. And you can see that I've introduced the menu, so we've got menu items in the menu bar. It's a nav element, and within that nav element we've got our logo that I used the GIMP for to render the actual logo for my particular site. And you can see that it's got some slight shadowing on the background, so it looks quite good. But that's it. It's just a list of menu items in an unordered list, and then they are styled using this CSS style sheet. So the page itself starts off with everything being reset using the CSS reset, so we remove all the margins, all the padding. The grid layout's introduced, and you can see the grid columns and the grid rows are introduced, and then we've got the menu bar, and the logo is styled on the page and positioned using a float. It's not absolute positioning, it could have been absolute position, but I used a float there to try the float out. And then, as I say, we've got these menu items which are all floated over to the right, put on the same line by the removal of the actual bullet points. So they've had that on the list items, the bullet points have been removed. And they're rendered up to the screen, and every time somebody hovers over one of those menu items, we change the background bar, so a bar appears, and a black bar appears over the top of it, and the actual menu item itself goes red, which you can see happening there. There's a slight delay. And that's it. That's the restyled menu page using the CSS3 elements that were introduced during the course. Thanks very much.